And we're getting some more breaking news. According to sources, Kashif Jan, who had escorted the Pathankot terrorists till the border, could also have been the handler of the slain terrorists in Uri. Agency sources report that Uri Attack could have been masterminded by Kashif Jan, Rohith Asghar and Masood Azhar. Now, after the preliminary investigation, it has confirmed the role of all of these three. India will once again ask Pakistan to get these terrorists arrested and hand them over to India. But the big question is whether Pakistan will listen to India. Will they actually act on that demand? We have with us India Today's Maushmi to tell us a little bit more about this information. Maushmi, can you give us more details about the Jaish-e-Mohammad's boss's hands behind the recent attack in Uri?
That's right. You know, the real link between Jaish-e-Mohammad and the Uri attack is Kashif Jan and Rohith Asghar. And Kashif Jan is no ordinary man. He's a senior operative of the Jaish-e-Mohammad. He's a right-hand man of Masood Azhar. And he is the man who actually was in direct contact with all the Pathankot terrorists right till they entered inside the border. They were talking to him. 16 calls were made to Kashif Jan, the senior operative of the Jaish-e-Mohammad, and the NIA's initial probe has led to information that Kashif Jan could be yet again the same man who has actually escorted the terrorists till the border. Now, important crucial information regarding this is also coming up, and that information is that, you know, these terrorists were actually in contact with Kashif Jan. Last time during the Pathankot terror attack, the calls were traced back to Pakistan, Narowal, exactly to zero down on Narowal of Pakistan, where Kashif Jan was located and was talking to these terrorists. So the NIA, along with the IB and the RAW, is investigating on this front. Also, importantly, the role of the insider is also being investigated. We are told that these terrorists had exact input about the movement of troops. So the NIA is also looking into that angle. And also, most importantly, a point coming up, that terrorists could have parked themselves right outside the camp and observed the movement of the army just for about 24 hours to 48 hours. That means that there were insiders who were actually giving exact information about the army movement, about the troop movement, and therefore they could actually carry out this terror attack to the 200%.
Absolutely, Maushmi. And this information indeed will result to another showdown with Pakistan, especially at the United Nations. India carrying along with itself all the information and pinning Pakistan once again for sponsoring terrorism from its soil. For now, Maushmi, thanks so much for joining us. India is taking on Pakistan at the same time diplomatically and is also trying to corner Pakistan with concrete evidence of their role in the recent attack in Uri. In the latest on the investigation front, investigators are looking into the possibility of an insider's involvement in the Uri terror attack. The NIA, after registering an FIR into the possible hand of an Indian in facilitating the militants' entry into the camp, guiding them to the most vulnerable spots. There's also a very high vigil at the border as the Indian Army hasn't ruled out any possibility of more infiltration. The Indian Army has said that the sanitization operation will continue in Uri and in Handwara and cannot be called off anytime soon.
After the Sunday terror attack in army camp inside the brigade headquarters in Uri, yesterday it was the intense firing going on this sector of line of control. Just behind me you can see those green dense forests. It is a part of LOC. Beyond that peak, there are the peaks of Pakistan where exchange of fire was witnessed and seen. You can see now this road which heads towards the forward posts has been blocked, not only for the media and other people but even also for the local people, so that vigil is kept on each and everyone who moves in this area. We will talk to some of the local villagers who are here and who are the main sufferers of any kind of tension between India and Pakistan. Sir, आप मुझे अपना नाम बताइए.
मोहम्मद अब्दुल्ला लोन.
लोन साहब, आप ये मुझे बताइए कल क्या हुआ यहाँ?
कल यहाँ हुआ, खाली आवाज़ आता रहा, ज़बरदस्त आता रहा, वो समझ में नहीं आया, वो बाहर से आता है गोला या इधर से जाता है, तोफखाना क्या कहाँ है क्या है, लेकिन हम डर गए हैं, हम कार बार कुछ नहीं कर सकते हैं. तो इसलिए जिन्हें मन छोटे बच्चे हैं वो डर जाते हैं। यह सरहद इलाका है, यहाँ तो बहुत खतरनाक है। यहाँ तो हमें कोई समझ में नहीं आता है। उड़ी से भी ये हमने सुना है कि उड़ी से भी कोई उग्रवादी आए थे, क्या हुआ था क्या नहीं हुआ था, कितने डेथ हो गए, क्या बात है। तो आवाज़ आता रहा, हम डर जाते हैं। 6 बजे तक हम ये बीच में जनाब चलता रहा आवाज़, तो उसकी 6 बजे के बाद में कोई आवाज़ नहीं सुनने में आया।
आप मुझे ये बताइए पहले, क्योंकि ये सरहद का इलाका है, लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल यहाँ से गुजरती है आपके गांव के पास से, तो पहले इस तरह का तनाव यहाँ पर था सरहद?
इससे पहले भी था थोड़ा बहुत। तो कोई उग्रवादी भी मारे थे यहाँ जनाब, पाकिस्तान से आए थे यहाँ जंगल में, हमने सुना था उधर से आए थे। तो बाद में वो हो गया तनाव कम। तो उसके बाद में कल से जनाब फिर शुरू हो गया है। कोई गोला बारूद इधर से गया या उधर से आया, लेकिन हम सुनते ही रहे।
So far this calming operation is still going on. There was exchange of fire yesterday till 6 p.m. Since then there is not any exchange of fire, but we are seeing that the army, particularly in this sector after the Uri attack, has been intensified. There are calming operations going on in all these dense forests. My cameraman can show you, you can get the sense of the line of control in this sector. You can see how densely forested these areas are and how easy it is for the infiltrators to hide them in these dense forests, and taking the advantage of this greenery, these forests, and even these maize fields which are just in the villages. These can easily make the movement of infiltrators very easy in these line of control areas, and that is why the militants, the infiltrators are choosing these areas for infiltration. But so far as this Lachipura Uri encounter is concerned, there is a calming operation still going on behind me. Just you can see this road has been blocked, and after this road there is a massive calming operation of army going on in these all dense forests, so that the input which is with the army, that probably 10 to 12 infiltrators are hiding near LOC, they can be tracked. There was exchange of fire, but so far army has not confirmed killing of any infiltrator or any Pakistani soldier, but still this operation is going on here on the line of control. With cameraman Rohith Ahmed, Ashraf Mani for India Today in Uri.
Okay, let's go straight now to India Today's Shuja ul Haq and India Today's executive editor Gaurav Sawant. Shuja, coming to you first. The Fedayeen attack in Uri, follows the pattern and the template of the Pathankot air base attack. At that time, the NIA say that there was a possibility of internal sabotage and even examined about 3,000 phone call records of several Army of Air Force personnel. Now, they believe here too there could be internal person who had assisted these terrorists. So how will they go about their investigations?
Well, Avantika, you're bang on there. That is what the investigators are looking at this point of time. Of course, there are two lines of investigation here that are taking place. One, how did this infiltration first of all happen? How did these militants reach so near to the camp in Uri? And second, whether there was an insider who was helping these militants. Why that is being probed? There are certain factors that the investigators are, at this point of time mulling on. First of all, how come these militants had, precise information about the most vulnerable spot inside the camp? It could not have been possible unless they had detailed information. They had perhaps, access to inside, details of what exactly was lying. What we are given to understand is that the first thing that happened, when these militants came into the camp, they set on fire the arms depot, which caught fire, because of which massive explosion happened. We're also given to understand that they also sprinkled some kind of an inflammable material around the barracks, because of which a massive fire sort of started there, and one of the reasons why we have so much of casualties in this particular attack is because of that fire.
Okay.
So all of this put together is leading these investigators to question whether there was someone inside who was helping them, who was guiding them to the exact place, and also was telling them what was the exact time and date when this attack should be mounted.
All right, stay with me. But Gaurav, I want to ask you a bigger question here. Despite India, having all the evidence, despite the US moving a bill to designate Pakistan as a terrorist state, the Organization of the Islamic Council, in fact, joining the chorus against Pakistan, Pakistan remains unfazed. I mean, the former President Pervez Musharraf continues with his anti-India tirade and is instead blaming India for, putting Pakistan in bad light.
Look, former President Pervez Musharraf is a disgraced military dictator, former military dictator. He does not matter. He rants and nobody gives his rants, any significance in his own country or anywhere else. That's one part of the story. Pakistan is phased. Look at what is happening in Pakistan. Their army chief has just spoken to their prime minister, who is in the United States of America at the UNGA. He will be addressing the United Nations General Assembly, where he intends to rake up Kashmir. What they intend to do is try and ratchet up tension along the line of control. The Pakistan Army Chief has informed Nawaz Sharif, from what sources tell India today, is about tension with India that is rising at the LC and some fears of some so-called surgical strikes. So all this is aimed at increasing tension and getting world attention on what Pakistan claims is the Kashmir cause. As far as India is concerned, very systematically, not just India, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, as you mentioned, several US congressmen, senators, several other world powers are talking about Pakistan-sponsored terror, state-sponsored terror that is a threat to this entire world, not just to the region, because terror attacks even in the United States of America are now being traced back to Pakistan. Similarly, terror attacks in the UK are being traced back to Pakistan. So all of this goes on to show that Pakistan is the global epicenter of terror and the world needs to crack down. Yesterday when I interviewed Dr. Abdali, Afghanistan's ambassador to India, his only point was this is a litmus test for the world, that are they only paying lip service to the war on terror or do they intend to crack down on Pakistan-sponsored terror?
Gaurav, another question that comes to my mind is this is all happening at the diplomatic levels. On the ground, tell me what is happening. What are you hearing from the Indian Army? We just spoke to Shuja about how they are consistently carrying on with their combing operations. They're keeping a hawk's eye along the line of control. But will India hit back at the ground level? Will we attack Pakistan's post? Will there be punitive strikes as well?
From what my sources in South Block told me, the political sources, their point was they have told Army Commander, Northern Command, Lieutenant General D.S. Huda, that it is for him to decide how India has to respond, the scale of the response, what is the larger game plan. There is a higher direction of war which comes from the political leadership, and then there is an execution which comes from the army. So the higher direction from the political elite of this country is to ensure that Pakistan does not find it easy to inflict costs on India. How will that be executed is best left to people like the army, like, the National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval, whatever they may think is good.
Right.
Will something happen immediately? Perhaps not, because that would be playing right into Pakistan's hands. But a template has to be there. Should there be a terror strike, response has to be immediate next time.
All right.
For that, India needs to put systems in place and you need to devise a mechanism. All of that, from what my sources tell me, is happening, and Pakistan will, as my sources say, bleed when remains to be seen.
All right, Gaurav and Shuja, thank you both.